Hi everybody, this is Danny Rabin from Marbin. I'd like to talk to you today about how to sound like Pat Metheny. Now obviously he does a ton of shit with harmony that we're not going to get into, but really it's about how to sound like him, meaning his sound, his articulation, and some simple, things to get you going. Now I specifically like the period between the late 80s, early 90s, right around Secret Story. That's the albums that I really grew up on and always thought were killer. His playing, his tone, and the ideas. Now, he's much more of a pop guy than your average jazz guy. He plays on really straightforward harmonies, but we'll get into that in a minute. First thing is conceptually what he does with the guitar sound, right? So he plays a big hollow body, and to darken it up, he rolls down some of the tone knob, some tone through the tone knob, nothing new there. The amp is pretty mid-rangey. I think he plays transistor amps. But that doesn't matter. He plays with a ton of reverb with a long delay, like 500 millisecond-ish, with like one or two repetitions that are barely audible, just a trail. I always like to conceptualize it like imagine Wes Montgomery in a magical cave. That's the sound he's going for, right? Like ethereal, like hollow body sound. So it has like that sparkle of magic reverb on it all the time. So that's pretty cool. Now what you really want to get into is the right hand though, and I'm really bad at this technique because I don't play like that. I play with the gypsy kind of thing, as a lot of you know, but what he does is basically the opposite from the grip onward, and this is why a lot of people don't sound like him, because people usually don't hold the pick like him. So he plays with a thin pick that you can actually bend, like 1 millisecond-ish, and then what he does is he grabs it with 3 fingers and from the fat side. So if this is the tip, you put another finger to where you can space 2 of them evenly and your thumb on the other side, and then put that to the guitar. So you see it hits it at a funny like angle, and he plays mostly upstrokes when he's playing slow, as opposed to blues players that play with gravity and play mostly downstrokes. And that already is a huge part of his sound. When you just play slow single note lines and play with this kind of angle without any articulation, it starts sounding like him, like stringy in that way, right? It creates... So like just sliding with that already is resembling him, but that's still not exactly what he does. Now another big feature of his playing is the sliding around, and he'll do a lot of things where he's sliding into the same note. That's a huge trademark. And then the other thing is ending phrases with a descending slide. So that he does that a lot. But a thing that really is, to me, like very him is when you have a note that you slide into, something diatonic in the scale, and then slide into the same note with a different finger. Ending like that. Right? So now, another trick is what he does with harmony. And this is where it gets very, very like his own like thumbprint. Lots of stuff modal and Aeolian. Usually with jazz, you hear a lot of people when they deal with minor chords, they'll play Dorian, and they really focus on the 6. Like Django, on every song, he lands on the 6 on minor chords all the time. Metheny usually avoids the 6s altogether, right? The 6 and the flat 6, but he'll write harmonies that actually require the flat 6, meaning a lot of things from, like, let's say a B minor chord to an F sharp minor chord. Progressions that go like that. It's built right into the songs, and the sound he chooses over it is really like, if it's like B minor, F sharp minor, he'll really think about B minor pentatonic with the 2. So B minor pentatonic with C sharp. If you just improvise with that scale structure, avoiding the 6s altogether, you really get to kind of a similar thing. You can throw in the blues note. So a lot of that is happening. Another thing is just, really diatonically through this kind of thing, moving question and answer type phrasing. So you see, like repeating rhythms and just descending in the same scale structure. I played the 6, and that already didn't sound like him, so I'll repeat. So things like that really resemble. Really, in the phrasing, it's just kind of going in one direction and repeating rhythms. He does a lot of that, but really avoiding those 6s, right? So not avoiding the 6s would sound like. It's less him. It's more like, other people do that, but he plays. So, really resolving to the 9th a lot is a big part of that sound. So that's one thing. So getting that technique together with the upstrokes leading is a big thing. Now another thing, he does a lot of stuff with triad pairs. That's like, right, just moving like diatonic triads up and down the neck. With the technique that he uses, it's actually easier to do that as an up, down, which for me is very unnatural, right? But that's what he does most of the time. So up, down, where as opposed to down, or up, like a Frangambali would do, or something like that. So, between those kind of things, you really get to kind of get into his sound. Now, another huge thing is descending minor thirds, right? So that's a big thing he does all the time. So if you play that same B minor pentatonic with the 9, and then from the flat third, you get to the root, you can go all the way down to the 5th. The way he fingers that usually is upstroke, hammer on without picking on the next string. Right? That's kind of tricky if you're not used to. Another, when he gets into the chromatic kind of stuff on minor chords, a big thing is going from the flat 2 to the flat 3 chromatically, and then from the root to the 9th to the root. That's a big part of his sound, right? See that? So flat 9, right? This is over a B minor. Flat 9, 9, flat 3 to the root, and then to the 9th, to the flat 9th, to the root. So a big part of his sound too. Right? So cool. I hope that helps. And see you at a Marvin show. Bye guys.